Welcome back to the GlitchFeed Podcast, your source for everything gaming. I'm your host, Sarah, and this is the week of January 9th. Today I'm joined by Just Troy.
Hello. I really hope that picked up.
Yeah, I think it did. I heard it.
Yes.
As our friend Justin is currently celebrating his birthday. Happy birthday, Justin.
I'm so happy for you. You're old.
I plan on later posting on Twitter and seeing if our 10 followers will harass him.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, followers.
So this past week has been pretty barren for video game releases and big news, but there have been some interesting small things that have sprouted up, as well as some awesome events that are going on in the community. But I guess in terms of video game releases, I can kind of go through quickly the 3 that came out. One of them I know about, the other 2 kind of I have no clue. The first one is Warhammer Quest for PC, Mac, Linux. I know it is also out on the iOS and the Android. And that came out on January 7th, the date of this recording. I don't know much about the video game, but I am a tabletop gamer. So I know a lot about the game it's based off of, which is Warhammer.
Yeah, the Warhammer Quest is more of it's classic tabletop rather than the old, the more modern Warhammers. It literally looks like you're playing a tabletop version. So it actually kind of looks neat. It looks like a little Dungeons and Dragons-y kind of play, but it looks nice. Whatever. I don't know.
I do enjoy the kind of dungeon crawler, and the nice thing about tabletop games is they basically bring to life our standard tabletop RPG type things. So seeing a war game getting access to video game and animation, everything is pretty cool. The next game that came out is Chariot for the Wii U, which is coming out on the 8th. Honestly, I have no idea anything about that. Funk of Titan for Xbox One coming out on the date of release. Also don't know much about it. The fact that they're coming out not on a Tuesday kind of tells me that they're a little bit...
Well, Chariot's a port. That's a port of a Steam and probably some console. I think some console game. Yeah, it's kind of like one of those little co-op-y platformers. You drag a chariot around. I don't know.
Hence the name.
Yeah. It's just ported to the Wii U. It's just a fun little kind of co-op-y game.
That's always good. I mean, I do we kind of talked about in last week's podcast, it is this year of the ports, and it's nice to see them kind of going away from PC to console games. Nice to see Wii U actually getting something. It looks like the Funk of Titan, I just pulled it up because I was curious. It is a combination of blaxploitation films with ancient Greek mythology and Super Mario Bros. You have a Frankenstein beast called the Funk of Titans.
Oh, shit. That sounds
40
awesome.
40 levels of funk music and men in skirts.
Whoa!
Xbox One
Hold
on January
on.
9th.
How many levels of funk music?
40 levels.
40 levels of funk music!
When a bunch of pagan titans challenge Zeus's throne, the god summons his son Perseus to confront and defeat these music.
Alright.
There's no video
you lost
anything.
Me. I'm out. I'm done.
It doesn't have multiplayer either.
Oh, that's sad.
Okay, Xbox. Sure.
Yeah, alright.
So that's coming out. I think my dog just picked up. That's coming out. I think someone stepped on my dog's foot. Awkward. Oh. But basically, on top of that, we also have our PlayStation Plus releases, which we talked about in our Daily Glitch. But I'm excited for it. I'm about to pick them up for the PlayStation 4 because this is beginning to see a trend of games being released, full title games like Infamous First Light and The Swapper. But PlayStation 3, I don't have one, but you can play Prototype 2 and DuckTales.
Woo!
A free DuckTales. So that's cool. And the Vita, you get Duke Nukem 3D and Whoa, Dave.
The Swapper is really fun. I apparently bought it in a Humble Bundle at some point in my life, and I have it on Steam. When I did the daily for that news, I was like, well, I actually have this game. Let me give it a shot, and it was pretty awesome. So I like it. It's nice.
Okay, so I'll definitely. I mean, I always like to download both games or whatever games are available, just because they're free, and the Jew in me loves a good deal.
Well, it's economical. It's just smart business.
I think they said there was definitely PlayStation actually, if you downloaded every single game across all platforms in 2014, you'd save about $1,000 in free games.
Yeah.
For only a $50 yearly subscription. So, I mean, it's a good deal if you keep up with it.
Yeah, I know, because I reported on that in the Daily Glitch.
Did you really?
Yeah. It's, but you had to buy, download every game on every console to maximize it. It's a whole thing. But yeah, you could if you downloaded every game in 2014, you saved $1,000 off of sale price. So that's still pretty cool.
Right. And in other PlayStation news, which is kind of to go with that PlayStation Plus stuff, is that last week we talked about the big fiasco with the networks being down. And Sony came out and basically let us know that they are giving away free. We talked about this last week, didn't we?
I think so.
I think we did.
I don't remember. I think we did.
Okay. Well, it came out on the 1st. So anyway, if you guys haven't had a chance to pick up that extension, it's automatically applied to your account for that free deal that they gave away last week for the network. But what's interesting is they also came out with news about their PlayStation Now system. And we kind of talked about this when it was coming out in beta a few months ago. But PlayStation Now is a subscription service where you have access to about 100 PlayStation 3 games. And some of the games are awesome, some of the games kind of suck. But for someone like me, who I never had a PlayStation 3, and there are a lot of PlayStation 3 exclusives that are not coming out for the PlayStation 4, the fact that they're providing this service was pretty interesting. I did not end up doing it because it was basically like a rental system where you paid like $5 to pick up a game for a few days. But about 2 days ago, so beginning of this week, they announced that they were doing a subscription service for PlayStation Now.
That's way better.
You could, yeah, I mean, you get 1 month for $20 or 3 months for $45, which is potentially less than GameFly, $15 a month.
Yeah, you don't have to struggle with like getting games, a whole new game versus old game kind of thing. Yeah, there's some angles they can play on this.
Right, and there's big titles that you could pick up, like I see Ico God of War, Guacamelee, Splunky, Sonic.
NBA 2K14 is in there.
The Walking Dead, Saints Row.
Dead Island.
It's
weird. It's weird that we both saw that.
It's weird, especially since like you absolutely hate it. So the fact that you said it kind of ruined my joke.
Didn't. But I'm seeing big AAA titles here like Final Fantasy 13 and Last of Us, and those are kind of big deals to have in a subscription service. Like those are almost worth the $20 alone just to pick up those 2 games. So
if you're someone that wants to just play it once and get it over with and you have time, I mean, even paying $45 for 3 months, you could realistically take out a few of those games and complete them.
Absolutely.
Without really worrying about it. So, I mean, that's an interesting thing. That's going to be starting on the 13th, so next week.
That'll be cool.
And I guess they also, they're launching a theme as well. I mean, that's great. If you download the theme before January 31st, you're entered into a drawing for a chance to win a 1-year subscription to that service. So after this podcast, I'm going to go downstairs, download my PlayStation Plus games and that theme so that I can get entered into a raffle that I probably will never win.
So, wait, is the PlayStation Now service on PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4?
It's on PlayStation, it's Vita 3 and 4. The subscription service is only going to be available for PlayStation 4 users in North America in the beginning, but they're planning on extending it to everyone who has access to that service.
So, is the PS4 backwards compatible?
No.
So this is really the only way it is?
Yes. This is basically, I think it's a limited library because of the fact that these games were never released on
They're not on
4.
PlayStation 4. Yeah, they're on PlayStation 3.
Yeah. But this definitely, like I said, for someone like me who, let's say I didn't get my Xbox, didn't play Xbox 360, and I wanted to play Final Fantasy 13, this would be the only way for me to play it.
Right. Yeah. That is actually kind of neat now that I think about it, because, like I said, there's titles like Final Fantasy and Last of Us in here that have been released on, Last of Us has been released on the PS4, but a lot of these probably won't see a next-gen update, if you will, in terms of making them work. And if the PS4 is not backwards compatible, this is kind of the way to do it.
Exactly.
It's kind of actually very cool now that I'm reading it.
Yeah, the price is interesting because, like, from my standpoint, I'd have to really identify games that would be worth playing once. And there are a few of them in there. There's a few smaller games, like I said, Splunky or Sonic. And then you got those big games that, I mean, I'm seeing Darksiders as well. Like
Infamous.
A lot of games Infamous, yeah, the original Infamous, which I'm never going to get a chance to play. Like, I would potentially rent it for a month if I knew I could play
without buying a PS3 and investing that whole money and time in it. So yeah, you're right. This is a good it's a good deal.
Now,
a good little deal.
I'm not sure how this service works in terms of not achievements but trophies. So that's something I'd have to look into.
No idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna admit that I'm the first one. It just popped up. But yeah, I definitely would consider it for some of these games.
Yeah.
Neat. Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that happened. Another thing, and I'm kind of zooming through this because it's all little stuff before our big discussion. Did you see about that Ubisoft poll on Far Cry 3 or on Far Cry, the future of Far Cry?
Sorry.
No?
No, I didn't, actually.
So, or we're on Far Cry 4 right now. You've played Far Cry, right?
Yeah, I played Far Cry, of course.
So, what's interesting is Ubisoft approached players of Far Cry and sent them an interview. And Eurogamer got access to this interview. And basically it was, pick your top 3 places you'd like to see another Far Cry game. And so there were some of these like typical ones, like I think it was like Vietnam during the war.
Yeah.
Was one of them. Remote Alaska about surviving in the extreme wilderness.
Also,
was another one. But then they take this turn where it's like, hey, I want to see a Far Cry game in a futuristic sci-fi setting on another planet.
They did that. It's called Blood Dragon.
Well, exactly, because it's people are sitting there like maybe they're trying, instead of seeing a Far Cry 5 with a realistic setting, maybe they're thinking of another one-off Blood Dragon type thing because they have questions about a zombie outbreak, a spaghetti western style set in the 19th century Americas, or you can join or fight against vampires.
Oh, that'd be neat.
Or a present-day Jurassic Park island with dinosaurs.
Oh, that'd be neat.
Yeah, so we're kind of getting a look into some of the ideas that Far Cry, the developers, are thinking of in terms of directions. And certain people are going to be able to select these things. And just to see a game about dinosaurs, based off of what I've heard about Far Cry 4 with how crazy a raptor is, or an eagle is, to think how crazy dinosaurs would be.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they've done very well in kind of AI for like animals and ferociousness, if you will. So yeah, that'd be pretty cool to see like Jurassic Park-y kind of stuff. That's neat. Yeah, like Far Cry is like pretty open like franchise. As far as I remember, there hasn't been too much like outside of being like in a jungle-ish. There hasn't been too much kind of stringing all of them together. So they could just left turn and throw it to like Alaska or throw it to like Jurassic Park or something. In fact, Jurassic Park would make sense considering the jungle-y theme that they have from like Far Cry 2 and Instincts and Blood Cry and stuff.
Yeah, and according to Eurogamer, because they did some of this research, a lot of the surveys Ubisoft has released prior, like they released a survey asking fans about features found in Assassin's Creed Revelations. They asked questions about the American Revolution and the Victorian Empire, which we've seen in AC3 and Victory. They asked them about co-op, which we saw in Unity, and then a pirating game without an assassin protagonist, which they showed in Rogue. So the fact that they're showing that these actually have an impact or maybe are like their form of spoilers for fans, it kind of makes me excited.
Wait, is Assassin's Creed Rogue a pirate game?
Kind of. It's more of in that, I think, in the universe with ships and everything, because he kind of travels by ship, but it's in that universe of Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag or Assassin's Creed Black Flag.
Oh, I always thought they should just take the Assassin's Creed out of it and just release a game called Black Flag that is the pirate thing, but without the stringing of the Assassin's Creed like stuff through it, like the Assassin and Templars. Just give me a pirate. I won't feel bad. It won't.
You were a fan of that stuff. Like that was your big thing. You're like, I really liked the pirate stuff.
I hated the pirate stuff. You had me totally opposite.
Really?
I hated Assassin's Creed 4 because I didn't want pirate. I wanted Assassin's Creed. I'm a huge Assassin's Creed 2 fan, where you're running through a city and you're kind of blending in with crowds. I like the idea of Unity, where you're in a city again and you've got like a bustling metropolis to climb around and history and stuff. 3 and 4 kind of like, all right, now you're really good at climbing and free running, but we're going to take all of that away from you and put you in Boston, which has buildings no taller than 2 stories, and a boat. That's it. But I don't like the other parts.
You kind of said, though, that you liked the idea of a pirate game.
Oh, the concept was great, but not as an Assassin's Creed game.
I agree.
Give me, like I said, give me Black Flag the pirate game, not Black Flag Assassin's Creed. Sorry, you're on a boat thing.
And then randomly throw in Assassin's missions.
Right, they're like, yeah, by the way, you're still an assassin. Don't worry, you can climb.
It was very, like, confusing for me, because it's like, Either I want to focus on building up my ship or killing people. I don't want to have to segment myself into two different things and worry about both. I just want to focus on one.
Right.
So,
Anyways.
but I mean, they kind of hinted at it in their surveys.
Right.
So going back to that, there's a lot of hope. Maybe we will see a Far Cry game that's Jurassic Park.
That would be actually. The more I say that out loud, I really want a Jurassic Park Far Cry game. The Far Cry engine is really good. Like I'm a fan of that kind of engine. Both 3 and 4 and Blood Dragon all pretty much had between 3 and 4 had a pretty similar engine in the kind of not free running, but like free roaming, exploring, shooting kind of thing.
Right.
I like it. It's very nice.
And to be stuck on an island would fit that whole space, but then you could randomly encounter dinosaurs or encounter people trying to manipulate them, or whatever the corrupt person is that's trying to use the dinosaurs to take over, whatever it is.
Yeah, it could work. It could very easily work.
Or just a survival. You're thrown on an island and there's dinosaurs. Deal with it.
Right.
So,
all right.
That's survey cool. Came out and we saw that. So, hey, there's hopes. Maybe we'll see a cool Far Cry game come out in the future.
Yeah, that would be neat.
Another small thing that came out that I know a lot of PC gamers are excited for and have been asking for years is that the developers of Minecraft Mojang finally teased that there may be name-changing options to come. And they've hinted at this for a few years now, and a lot of people are like stuck when they were joined the game and they're like 12 years old and they're like, Sarah Bear 2002, this is a really lame name, I hate it, and I want to change it to my new cool name.
But I don't want to rebuy Minecraft at whatever it is now.
I don't want to drop $25 on Minecraft.
Minecraft is $25?
Yeah, that's how much I paid for it. It's like $24.99.
I think I paid like $5.
Get out.
When it like first came like way early in the alpha or so, in the beta or whatever, and it was like I thought it was like $5, 5 or 10 maybe at most.
Well, it's an official game now.
I guess that's true. I guess that makes sense. I did pay it like way long ago for it. But that game's been out for a long time when you really think about it. It's been at least 4 years-ish.
I got it in 2011. I think is when I picked it up. 2011, 2012, and by then it was still was after alpha and beta. That was when it was a game.
Yeah.
And it's been in testing longer than that. And so I know the big one, 1.8 is coming out next. Or 1.8 is already out, isn't it?
I think 1.8 is already out.
Yeah, so a lot of people were like, hey, 1.8 was supposed to come out with the names, and there were issues, so it didn't. And then they were very vague about it, but finally, Christophe Gelbring, whatever, the guy from Mojang.
Yeah, Jeb.
He actually just teased it for everyone, and I know a lot of people are excited for that to actually be an option, because people I know like to change their names. They like to go incognito, and finally being able to do that is pretty solid. So get excited for that, everyone.
Yep. Finally. I'm not going to change mine. I like mine too much. So
I'm okay with it. I can get on servers now that have mods that allow you to change your name or put nicknames on, so who cares?
I don't even play Minecraft that much, so it's fine.
So the next one that's coming out, or the next thing that's coming out in terms of news is The Witcher Wild Hunt, which we know had a delay.
It did. It delayed down to May.
Which I'm okay with. I think I've said this a few times. I'd rather game developers be honest and say, okay, we're going to delay this because there's issues, than have another Assassin's Creed Unity fiasco where it's like, oh, I didn't know there was all these really blatantly obvious issues that we now have to scramble to fix. So finally, since we're waiting a few extra months, The Witcher came out with their game specs today.
Yeah, with their minimum and their recommended specs for the game, which put it at a pretty lofty platform. So their minimum requirements are an Intel i5 or an AMD like X4, and a like NVIDIA GTX 660, which is a pretty beefy card and a pretty beefy CPU for the minimum specs. Recommended's up to like an i5 3770, 3.4 gig, and a GeForce GTX 770. So like that's pretty lofty specs for a next gen game. But I guess it's about that time that things start kind of, if they really want to push the limits of a PC game, this is going to be the new kind of benchmark. It used to be the whole Crisis benchmark of how well can you play that. This is the new this is going to be the new benchmark for a little while, I think.
And definitely we've seen a lot of previews for the game, and the game's pretty.
Oh my god, the game's pretty.
It's so pretty. It's like kind of how I felt when I first saw Dragon Age Inquisition when they walked out into the open world and it's like, oh, that's so pretty. Like The Witcher is just so much more. Like it's very sexy. It's a very nice area. There's a lot of open space to explore without loading. I mean, I don't speak specs, but I know that, it's some pretty hefty stuff and you can't really, unless you have a gaming laptop, I probably wouldn't be able to play this on my laptop. So
Oh god, no, you won't be able to play on your laptop.
I wouldn't want to play it on my laptop.
No.
Yeah, so that came out. So that's a lot of our smaller quick news. We're kind of zooming through that. So let's kind of slow down a little bit and talk about the bigger news that came out this past week. The first thing, yes.
Sorry.
Hi.
I said I.
Okay, I thought you said I, and then you paused.
I.
I.
No, I was being hip.
Being suave. I see how it is. So Halo 5 Guardians beta. This is awkward because once again we're stuck in a place where Troy, you've played it. I have not.
Yeah.
So you didn't play it last week because you were loading it. So why don't we get a little bit of feedback on what you think? Justin was kind of meh about it. How are you feeling about the beta?
I actually kind of like it. It's a little it's different. Now, it's different than Halo 4 and it's actually different than Halo 3 and moving back in the engine. It feels like a faster, tighter first-person shooter. It actually, dare I say, feels closer to the kind of Battlefield, Call of Duty aspect. A little bit. But it still retains that kind of Halo feel to it. Now, they only have, like, basically small maps, which are, for, like, 4-on-4 maps or 5-on-5 maps. So it limits you kind of to those corridor shooting kind of FPSs, which it feels really good at. I had a chance to pick it up and play a good amount of time with it last week and this last weekend before the latest update with the newest maps.
Okay.
But it looks beautiful. It plays nice. There's a little bit of like control confusion because there's what the one thing they did is they took all the armor abilities it used to have, jetpack and dodge and like
all the
armor
stuff
lock.
Introduced in Reach. Yeah,
the Reach stuff, and kind of folded it into your system, so you can hover a little bit. You can, I'm blanking on if you can even. I don't think you can double jump, but you can grab ledges and kind of pull yourself up. That kind of like slight Titanfall-y kind of thing, where you can pull up a little bit.
Okay.
You can dash in the air and on ground, and if you run and you hit a button, you kind of charge. There's like weird like armor abilities that they don't really, because it's a beta, they really don't introduce. They just kind of say, here are the controls, figure it out. And I'm still not 100% sure what they do because I can't apply them at all.
So it's kind of like instead of picking up one thing and that's your featured armor ability and you're really good at it, it's now a mix of everything and it's a little less. So you don't jump as high or sprint as far, but you
still
can do
jump,
everything.
You still sprint as long as you want, and you still have, but you've also got like a dodge and you've also got like a jump, like an air dash thing where you can kind of get a little farther, and there's just added stuff that it changes how you play. Like I've learned now to dodge, and I've learned now to time the jump, and if it used to be where I couldn't, you wouldn't be able to make that jump without doing an elaborate crouchy thing. Now you can just tap the dodge and you can make it to that spot, or you can jump a little bit short and you'll be at the ledge and you can pull yourself up.
It's a game changer.
It changes the feel of the game, but at the same time, it still feels like a Halo game. Now, they brought back weapon spawns on the map, like on the actual board, which I love. With 4, they kind of took them all out, and they said you pick your loadout and you spawn with that, and there's no weapons on the map, kind of Call of Duty-ish.
Right.
It didn't work. Hated it. And they brought it back to like Reach and 3, where there's weapon spawns on the map. You kind of learn where they're at. They limited the power weapon, so there's really only one power weapon per map, but they pull it, they basically like focus it right in the center of the map and say, hey, the grenade launcher, or hey, the sword is spawning in 20 seconds, and you can see it spawning. Kind of, there's a mad dash. You know when it's respawning. You know the kind of the rush of both teams to get to it.
Yeah, I played Reach a lot. That was my first real big multiplayer game, and that was definitely something I enjoyed. Is the weapon spawns, kind of saying, shotguns up, go grab it. I've got it. I'm about to drop
classic. That's like classic Halo and really classic first-person shooter kind of mentality of to become good at it. You learn the board, and then you know where the weapon spawns are, and you can manipulate that your play to that.
Oh my gosh.
Like kind of classic Halo 2, classic Halo 3 kind of thing where I know where the rocket spawns, I know where the sword spawns, and if I'm on that side of the map, I'm going to drop down and check if it's there, or I know it's there, I'm going to go drop down and grab it and move out.
Right, just crazy stuff. Like I remember playing with some guys in college that they knew the exact time things would spawn. Like there wouldn't be notification, but they're like, okay, 10 seconds till that spawns, I'm gonna go grab it. Just like crazy stuff like that. And I mean, they did good. They knew how to grab it, they knew how to use it, and they basically won the game for us. So, but so what you've missed, Troy, and I'm sure we'll talk about it next week when you and Justin are back and tried it out, is that new update. They introduced a brand new game type, Breakout.
Oh, I did play Breakout. I wasn't sure if
okay.
that was like the new update or not.
Yeah, that was the new update along with the new maps and the new weapon, the Hydra MLRS.
Oh, then yeah, I have played this update. Okay. I
So,
wasn't sure if that was the new update or if there was more when I was reading I hadn't clicked on the link and I wasn't sure if that was the update. So yeah, no, I've played Breakout.
what's Breakout?
Breakout is basically it's more like Counter-Strike where you have one life and you basically eliminate the other team and it's first to I think best of 5 rounds or something, or best of 7 rounds maybe.
Right.
And you basically just spawn on one end of the map. They throw you into the center of it, not the center of it, either side of it. You run forward and kind of elimination. So once you're dead, you're out. Once the other team's done, you win the round. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of I kind of came up on like Counter-Strike where it's elimination style. So that kind of those game types always kind of liked them a lot because it makes you more focused on your life rather than Halo or like Unreal where you die, you start click, let's respawn, let's go, let's get back into the game and fight. So you focus a little more, you dodge a little better, you play a little smarter. So it's a lot of fun.
I think definitely for me that sounds really interesting because if you compare that to Slayer, it's really bringing flexibility to a game. Whereas when I played Destiny, I remembered it was a lot of the same thing. So kind of like in the old Halo when I played Reach, having like I forget what it's called, but I played it all the time, where it's like basically all headshots and there's no armor. SWAT. I loved SWAT. I hated Slayer, but I loved the fact that I could headshot and kill people because that's the only thing I was good at.
Yeah, it was a little more tactical, a little more, your life was a little more valuable because you didn't have any shields, you didn't have, a bunch of power weapons. You had one rifle and no shield.
And I think that's definitely introducing Breakout is one of that mentality of, okay, I want to go play Breakout. I want to go play, first team to take 5 rounds wins, no lives, just killing people. Like that's what I would love to do.
It was a lot of fun. I booted up. I played a couple of rounds of Slayer, and I'm like, let me try Breakout. I wasn't sure at first because I've never seen Halo as an elimination type kind of game. It's always been fast, and you die, you respawn quick. But
right.
I played one round, and I was addicted quick. I loved it.
Okay, so definitely people should
definitely
check that
a lot of fun. I also checked out so basically the 2 new maps are the same maps that they had before.
Regret and Eden.
But reskinned.
Okay.
So I think Regret is a remix of Truth, which is midship from Halo 2.
Okay.
It's the same map, except the ship is crashed, and so it's a different locale. But the map is the exact same. The same lifts, the same jumps, the same platforms. Same map. Yeah, and Eden and Empire are basically the same. They're both like kind of cyber-y kind of map where it's the same theme, but they just reskinned it basically.
That's interesting because having subtle changes allows them to mix a lot more maps into it and allows it to be just different enough for the players to have a strategy of saying, okay, Regret, there's a ship in the middle. What can I use? How can I use that to the advantage compared to Truth? Right,
and like where Truth had the sword as the power weapon, Regret has the Hydra, which is So I've picked up the Hydra a couple times. I couldn't tell you exactly what it is. It feels like a grenade launcher. It plays like a grenade launcher, but I'm not good with it, so I haven't picked it up a lot.
I was always really good with the grenade launcher. I think definitely a difference between like the grenade launcher in Reach and the sticky launcher in Halo 4. I mean, just the fact that it sticks instead of bounces completely changes the game. So
yeah. No, it's neither of those too. That's the thing. It's like it's neither of those weapons. So it's like, all right, this is something totally new. I have no idea how to use it. And like I said, because it's the beta and it's just multiplayer, there really is no campaign to kind of go through and introduce you to those weapons, or like slowly, like in old Halo campaigns, they would slowly introduce you, like they'd make a big deal, like here's the rocket launcher, or this guy's got a sword, and you learn the mechanics of the weapon by playing campaign. Really, you know the sticky launcher locks on to targets. You learn that the rocket launcher can lock on, or the sword has a certain range, and then you go into multiplayer and use that.
Right.
This one they just drop you into multiplayer because it's the beta, and they're like, all right, use the Hydra, brand new weapon. That's all we're gonna tell you. Have fun. So I'm having a lot of fun with this beta. It's definitely feels more Halo than Halo 4, and I'm really, it actually makes me really excited to see more of Halo 5. I was a little skeptical coming off of Halo 4, but Halo 5 definitely is going to win me back. This is going to be huge.
Are you going to pick up the which package are you going to pick up? We talked about the 3 levels. You're just going to go to the base level with 60?
I'm a base level guy. I've kind of kicked off the collector's edition trend after having just too much shit.
You have a wall of just all the random crap that comes with collector's editions?
Yeah, I used to, and I'm like, I don't want any of this. The art books are neat, but I can just look at it online. Like, I don't really.
Yeah, the art books I feel are kind of. Pre-order
they're old.
Cool,
they're old school. Like the art book was good before the internet was a big thing, or phones were a great thing. I remember pre-ordering Soul Calibur 2 for the GameCube, and just so I could have the art book, and I pooped with that art book for months waiting for that game to come out.
Oh God! I think
it was a big deal, but now it's not.
The worst, like add-on things I found, which they're cool, but I don't ever use them, is the records that come with games. The soundtrack's on a record, physical record.
What game did you buy that had a record? Was it Fallout?
BioShock 2.
BioShock 2. Okay.
I know that the new Grand Theft Auto has records.
Grand Theft Auto had a record.
Well, I think
had a vinyl.
Yeah, vinyl comes with the. I don't know. It's cool.
Weird.
It's nifty. It's hipster. That's great. But
it's very hip if you have like a record player, I guess. I don't know.
I actually I did like a adopt a family, and the kid wanted Xbox games, so I took all my old Xbox games and then wrapped that big hunking box it came with that was like 8x10 or some ridiculous dimensions, and just gave it to him. Maybe he has a record player.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. Another thing that's going on, which we talked about in our.
Well, let me segue this a little bit. So you asked me how I was going to buy Halo.
Right.
And honestly, I'm going to buy it on digital, which kind of brings us to one of our other topics we have down here. Oh. I'm not going to buy this thing physical. I'm kind of done buying physical games, I've realized. I have my Xbox One. I own one physical game, and that's Master Chief Collection. And that was really because we got it.
Yeah, didn't it come with the Xbox One?
No, we just got it as kind of a symbol, like, hey, we're gonna buy an Xbox One. So like, this is what we're buy the Master Chief Collection. You buy one game. We bought the Xbox One that came with 2 other games, and since then have bought 3 other games. Like, I'm done buying physical games. There's no point in having them. They take up space, and they just there's no reason. I have a hard drive on this device. I will install the game to that device.
Yeah, you and a bunch of other people are in the same mindset. So kind of like the new big thing is Huffington Post, which surprisingly talked about digital video game sales.
Thanks, HuffPo.
Yeah, they basically made a joke that these discs are going to become coasters soon, and that's
absolutely.
because about physical video game sales in the first 11 months of 2014 dropped 17% compared to the year before, whereas digital video games jumped 23% around Thanksgiving alone this year compared to 2013, which basically is telling me that, digital pre-ordering stuff's great and all, but when I see a sale going on, and there are a bunch of sales going on, I'm going to pick up those games. I have a question for you, Troy.
Yeah. Which
you kind of already answered. So during the big Black Friday and holiday sales, did you buy any physical games during that time?
I'm before Master Chief Collection, I could not tell you the last physical game I bought. It might be Halo 4.
Okay, and how many...
You know what? Grand Theft Auto 5 might have been the last physical game I bought.
Oh, and that came out...
That was 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Was it?
I think it was fall 2013, wasn't it?
I don't remember, to be honest. It must have been fall 2013.
Yeah.
We had all 2014.
And then, so how many how many digital games did you buy between Black Friday sales and Christmas sales?
Are we talking on console or just on Steam?
Both.
I honestly,
estimate.
Sarah, I told you before, I can't tell you how many games I bought on Steam. I I think I bought 4 games in one day with a gift card on Steam. I buy Steam games like candy when there's sales.
Right.
I don't want to, but there's like 5 games on my wish list, and I'm like, I'll wait till they go on sale, and they do. Instantly, I buy them. I couldn't tell you how many games I bought. I bought 4. We got the Xbox One right after Black Friday, so I bought every Xbox One game I have, 4 or 5 games, not alone, just on Xbox alone.
Yeah.
And not to mention again all the PC games I bought. Yeah, I'm a total digital guy. I'm done with kind of physical copies of stuff. There's no point.
I like physical copies because I still like having it there to kind of show off. But my PC, I do not have a disk drive. I did not invest in a disk reader.
I don't either. I've had this PC for 2 or 3 years now. Why? Why have a disk drive?
I have to borrow my neighbor's like external disk drive if I ever want to update drivers or anything.
You're told you don't even need it. USB. Embrace USB drivers.
Well, he gave me a USB the first time when I had stuff.
Yeah.
But I asked my parents for Tomb Raider because it was $10 online for Black Friday. But everything I bought on Steam was digital. I've started buying smaller games, digital games on my Xbox or my PlayStation. My only concern is storage space in that case.
Yeah.
Because I did not get a big storage space for my PlayStation.
Well, now what's nice is the PS4 has the expandable storage in that you can replace the storage unit. And I just actually saw an article earlier that Nyko, like that peripheral manufacturer, just released at CES this data bank accessory for the PS4. It's basically just another like angular brick that sits on top of it, and it expands the like hard drive space.
And I mean, I can easily
it allows you to use a standard 3.5-inch desktop drive rather than like the thin ones.
Oh.
So you instead of the limitation was you had to buy like a laptop hard drive basically for the PS4. Now you can buy like a full desktop hard drive, which are 2 terabytes is like $100.
And a lot of the new systems are coming out with terabyte hard drives.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're moving in that direction because they know a lot of people kind of mocked Xbox during their big conference when they talked about the Xbox One, about all games needing to be digitally downloaded, no disc being available, and people are like, no, I don't like that. But now, the numbers talk. I feel like in the disc thing, when that whole issue came out, we were right at the cusp of digital as the answer. Because they didn't really have, Xboxes hadn't caught up. Everyone was using the same Xbox 360 that they've had for 7 or 8 years that had like a 30 gig hard drive or a 40 gig hard drive when they bought it. Now that consoles standard are like 500 gigs or whatever, there's so much more space, and especially with the level of updates and DLC and patches and installing the game on the Xbox One, where you basically have to. There's no point in having the disc, really. You install the game, you install most of the data off the disc to the drive to play it because it plays faster for whatever reason. Well, for the reason because it's not optical. Yeah.
And it's like they've already expanded the storage space that so much that they need a bigger hard drive. There's no point in having a physical disc.
My only concern about this, and I don't know how it happened with you, I talked about this last week, is that when the network went down, which hopefully they solve in the future, but when the network went down, I could not access any of my purchased games because it needed to reference my purchase on the network in order to believe that I currently owned those games.
Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I was on vacation during the entire network shutdown. I did not have my Xbox at all until I got back, and it was well past received. I could see being the problem. But for me, that being said, I own enough games on my PC. I have Master Chief Collection, not to mention my full 360 library is all discs. I feel like I could manage.
I was just pissy because I wanted to play Binding of Isaac.
No, and I get that. Like that is a real problem where they have to reference your digital life to allow you to play these games that you've installed to your drive. Now, that could be fixed by a whole, feature change of you only have to sign on every whatever month to re-register the games. You can take it offline. It's a whole market they've kind of like ignored because it's a little complicated.
And my issue, I don't know if I ever tried. I think I did try it, so it was an issue with the games I actually purchased. Binding of Isaac I got with PlayStation Plus. So if I'm no longer a member of PlayStation Plus, but
I think that might be a little special of a case. I've never taken my Xbox off the network, and I've never had an issue with my network. I suppose I could try, like, I have Assassin's Creed Unity that I downloaded. Can I play that without having a network connection because I've already downloaded and installed everything?
I
I
could on
don't
my
know.
360 because I had I had times when I moved back that I didn't have Wi-Fi, so I was off the network a lot. So I was able to play games like Reach and everything because I
Yeah, that you
downloaded
had
it to the
installed
hard
and
drive.
downloaded.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I have a lot of those on my 360 as well. I've definitely had that offline that I've been able to play them. So I would imagine the Xbox One probably does the same. Now, PlayStation Plus, like you said, if you get rid of your subscription at any point, you lose access to your games. That's probably why it's checking against like a network connection. But I can see why it's an issue for people.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, maybe it's just a setting they had. Hopefully, with the network issues coming on, they're resolving those kind of things. They're making sure everything's set up fine. Because now, with all of the Wi-Fi being connected to the systems, you don't really expect to not have internet access.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the nature of the world as it is right now. It's everything's connected and everything always has access. You shouldn't not have, if you don't have internet on a device, it's insanity.
Yeah.
Your mind goes blank when your phone can't connect to the Wi-Fi or can't connect to the network.
Yeah, also another thing people were pissy about for the Xbox One that now is kind of like, yeah, internet's fine by me. So another numbers game that came out though, like
Yeah.
PlayStation 4 passes 18.5 million sales worldwide. And
Mm-hmm.
we kind of talked about throughout I think their quarters are a little different, but throughout last summer and fall that PlayStation 4 dominated the market of sales. That was the console that sold the most. I mean, Mario Kart 8 was the game that sold the most every month, but PlayStation 4 sold the most. And it had 4.1 million sales during the holiday season, but I saw a lot of responses saying, how is this possible? How have they hit 18.5 million sales worldwide? What's going on? Things I could see, Xbox did not do well in Japan or China.
No, they had really a really crappy foreign release, really. I mean, UK markets and European markets even, they weren't great. They weren't enough to make up for the China and Japanese market that really did not happen for Xbox, which has been the case for a long time, really, when you think about it. Xbox has never been a big international brand. It's really been PlayStation that's always held the international market.
And I mean, as much as people love the exclusives, I think another issue with the Xbox One, and this is why I personally, when looking at PlayStation investments, I mean, the price is lower, but the fact that the Xbox One backpedaled so much between their announcement of what the Xbox One would do and then their release, in terms of saying, oh, you have to always have internet on. No, that's not going to happen. Oh, you're not going to use these discs. No. We'll make sure you can do that. Like they went back and forth so much, caused me to lose confidence in them as a brand. And also forcing me to buy a Kinect also caused me to not want to do it because that was another $100 I'd have to spend on something I never used on my 360. So
Right.
I'm sure these sales coming up was when they finally got rid of that Kinect and started doing those bundles. When they introduced those exclusives of the Master Chief Collection, they had some really nice, solid holiday sales going on. And that probably brought them up to finally outsell the PlayStation 4 in November. But as of right now, I mean...
No, that's that they outsold the PS4 just in the US.
Yeah, in the US.
Is the clear part. So if you factor in the international markets, Sony still wins. Which doesn't surprise me. It's been the case.
They're making money too, because Sony's saying PlayStation 4 owners are dedicated. They bought 81.8 million pieces of digital and retail software worldwide, which is about 4.4 games per system. And they also have 10.9 million people subscribed to PlayStation Plus.
That's worldwide? Yeah.
I mean, that they didn't say worldwide, but that's huge. I
think that's worldwide.
Yeah, I would assume so since they were talking about that.
Yeah. That is a huge number for them. I like I said, I'm not surprised that they sold 18.5 million worldwide, considering the worldwide market. And I'm not surprised that they're beating the Xbox. PlayStation has always been, since I remember, the biggest console, regardless of what the market, what games are coming out, what games are available, what the system even does. Just in a pure unit sold, I think the PlayStation 2 is far outsold every other console in history.
Yeah, I think right now...
I think PlayStation 2 still holds the record for most consoles ever sold.
Yeah, right now these numbers are around the lifetime sales of the GameCube. That's where they're at. So they're about to overcome some older systems. And the fact that it's been going on for about a year and a half now, like that's...
Well, GameCube's probably the worst one to compare it to, but yeah.
Well, yeah, it's the lowest. It just means it's like their first their first
Yeah.
boundary to go over. So,
Sure.
speaking of quickly now, as we wrap things up, we found out some news about The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask 3DS. That's something a lot of people have been excited for.
I've been putting off buying a 3DS. Like I keep getting really close and then pushing it off, and then getting really close again and then pushing it off. This might be it. This might be the line.
Yes. This is one of the reasons why I bought mine. I actually bought the Ocarina of Time game before I got my 3DS. So basically, Majora's Mask, everyone just lost their shit when this came out in a Nintendo Direct. But they released, there's a collectible, like the limited edition bundle, which at this point I'm pretty sure is sold out.
I'm sure.
$50 gets you the game along with a nice Skull Kid figurine.
Yay!
But I mean, I'm excited. This is the next game that people have asked for. They are ready to play some Majora's Mask. They're ready.
People have been asking for this remake for a long time. Since like GameCube era, they've been asking for a remake.
Because they did remake Ocarina of Time.
They remade Ocarina of Time for every generation except they've left out Majora's Mask, which was like the same technology pretty much.
Right. And we can expect the graphics to be upgraded like the old one. I mean, it's still going to be classic, but we can probably expect a difficulty, like all that stuff. I mean...
Well, yeah, they'll follow the same thing they did with the 3D Ocarina of Time, the 3DS version, where they touched up the graphics. It looked a little bit nicer, but it still kind of had the same old school feel, which is fine by me. I am totally okay with that.
That's why I get it.
Yeah, I've actually said before I would go back and play it on the 64 before I went and played it on any other system.
Right. So another thing that's going on that is finishing up this week, it's actually going to be done on the 10th. So tomorrow, if you're listening to the podcast live, is the Awesome Games Done Quick marathon.
HDQ.
Yes, and I know a few people that went. I actually could have gone, but I passed it up.
I
know I'm kicking myself.
Should have gone. That would have been fun.
I think I'm going to go to the one in the summer in Chicago.
That would be cool.
It's at this point, it's like a money game. It's like, if I go for 2 days, I lose this much money, and it's going to cost me this much. But right now, their goal is $500,000. They started last Saturday. They've raised $439,000 towards their basically Prevent Cancer Foundation. And what they're doing is that they do this biannually. So they have Awesome Games Done Quick in the winter, and then they have... What's the summer one?
Summer Games Done Quick, I think is it.
SGDQ.
I don't think it's anything special.
It's SGDQ, but that's in Chicago. And they get a bunch of speed gamers coming in. They play games, classic games. Like right now, they're running Kirby Superstar. They did a Sonic block earlier. Old school games. I actually watched Die Hard, the Die Hard game, which they beat in like 6 minutes. It was stupid.
Nice.
Stupid fun to watch, but...
Yeah, I admit I don't follow it like addictively like a lot of people do. I don't watch the entire stream, but like I'll pop it like if I'm sitting at work at lunch and I'm like, let's see what's just something to listen to. It's fun to watch. Like they played I was watching when they were playing DuckTales.
Yes. Like
the original DuckTales, and I'm like, "Oh, I love this game." And they're like burning through it in like 10 seconds. I'm like, "Oh, you're really ruining it for me." But okay, all right, I can see what you're doing.
I think it's fun when you see games that like Mega Man or stuff like that, and just seeing the tricks people do to speedrun this.
Yeah, they break the game so much. Like they're like, all right, if you do this one frame here, you can skip like 20 minutes a minute. Like, you're like, what are you? I spent like a month playing that game.
Yeah, they like toggle between the frames or do certain things, and they explain it to you too, which is really interesting.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of the AGDQ series is they will take the time to explain exactly what they're doing, and they're pretty proud of what they're doing, so I don't blame them.
Well, these are the record holders. And
right.
That's a whole big thing. People stream stuff, like big name people just stream them trying to break games in certain ways. They have different types of run. They have any percentage. They have tool assisted runs. They have everything. And what's really awesome about this is that all of their money with a little bit of off the top, but they're using PayPal, is going towards this Prevent Cancer Foundation, which is cancer research, education, and community outreach. They change it around every year. They have such big prizes to encourage donations. Like they're giving away this whole Twitch package. They're giving away PlayStation 4 bundle. They're giving away swag. Yeah. Like they're just doing some crazy stuff. They have running jokes about certain things. Like they'll have people donation drive for which character they play, if they save the animals or kill the animals, which is in I believe a Metroid run.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah,
do some cool stuff.
they do a lot of cool stuff, and I gotta say, like, I'm not a huge speedrunning fan. Like, that's not something I've always been interested in.
Right.
AGDQ is pretty awesome to watch. Like, it's pretty remarkable to see the level of dedication that people put to like one game, and probably a game that you've never heard of and never played before, and probably never will. Some outrageous like marketing 7-Up game from 1996
Yes.
that for whatever reason they hold the record in because that's what the one game they're interested in.
Yes.
So it's really cool to watch, and I encourage it. It's a great cause, and if you guys are looking to donate some money and to help prevent cancer, I think you guys should do that. Cancer's pretty bad, so you should probably
it's
help
bad.
that.
If you guys want more out of it, if donating is not enough with a slight chance of getting a prize, Humble Bundle actually worked with them, and they are releasing bundles that include some pretty nice titles like Duke Nukem 3D, Volgar the Viking, Oddworld, Speedrunners with the expansion packs, Twitch Turbo subscription, an XSplit subscription, and if you want to pay $30, you get a nice merch pack. So that's pretty cool to see that Humble Bundle stepping into and doing some giveaways.
Yep.
And finally, the last bit of news before we wrap it up is that we have discovered this guy that released like 2,300 MS-DOS games for free that you can play.
I think it's over web, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's all the old school DOS games that you can play basically in your browser, and it's kind of neat. I was thumbing through the library before we started here, and it's like old school SimCity, Oregon Trail, the original Bustin' Moves.
I'm playing Oregon Trail right now as we're talking.
Leisure Suit Larry 1, Land of the Lounge. I'm going to play that very soon because I've always been an old Leisure Suit Larry fan.
Original Prince of Persia, Championship Manager 93.
Championship Manager 93. It's an old football game, I think, isn't it?
Stunt Driver. It looks like it. Like Castles. I wonder. Wolfenstein 3D. Burger Time, the original.
Burger Time, yeah. So a lot of old like DOS games,
Auto
pretty
Mix,
cool,
Tomix.
but definitely give that a chance. Check out, especially if you're a little bit of an older gamer and remember these old DOS days when you had to boot up the game and like launch command lines to get it to work.
Even if you aren't, like if you're a younger gamer, you haven't heard of this kind of stuff, it's a great opportunity to play the originals, like to understand the jokes of Oregon Trail. I keep trying to say Oregon Trail with all of the like.
Isn't it Oregon Trail?
Oregon Trail. I don't know.
Is it Oregon Trail?
Yeah. Well, I want to say like Oregon, as in the.
Oh, Oregon, like the zombie version.
The zombie version. Yes.
Is it Oregon or Oregon?
It's probably both. Card Sharks. It probably isn't. Big business.
One of us is probably wrong.
That's okay. Barbie Supermodel. But you guys should check these out. Like, definitely check them out. Have some fun. Play some old school games like the Smurfs. And let us know what you think.
Yeah.
All right, so that's kind of it. Troy.
Yeah.
What have you been up to this last week?
What have I been up to this week? I've been guiltily playing WoW a lot more. I actually picked up Endless Legend in the Steam sale. And I have some things to say about it.
Okay.
If you don't mind me soapboxing my Endless Legend for a bit.
I'll turn the mic over to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Endless Legend is a fantasy turn-based strategy for the creators of Endless Space. They do a lot of very in-depth turn-based strategy games. So Endless Space is obviously a space version where you really focus on the management of the solar system. You decide what you want to do on each moon, and it's very in-depth kind of strategy game. Endless Legend is the kind of on-ground diplomacy, war-based. What it is Civ 5 on kind of an alien world, but not really. Not like Civ Beyond Earth kind of level, but with a lot of detail and a lot of focus into like resource management and zones and kind of negotiation. I've played about 20 hours of this game, and I've only had it for about a week.
Oh my gosh.
I'm one of those that play a game and I play it. So it's a lot of fun. What I've really equated it to is it's Civ 4, Civ 5, but like very, very in-depth and very focused. You really think about there's a hero management system where you have like a captain, you can assign him to a city or you can assign him to an army. and they kind of lead. It's a very in-depth kind of Civ game, and it's a lot of fun. So I've been playing that, and outside of that, we've been I recently reacquired my Wii from my parents, which sounds weird. Yeah, so we've been playing a lot of Wii games lately. A lot of Mario Brothers has been happening. A lot of Trauma Center and trauma-related games.
I remember playing that and hanging out with you guys at the frat. And that was just what you guys did 24/7.
An old story for everyone listening. Back in college, a bunch of us used to sit around our house in our living room, big screen TV, and we would spend like a Saturday, or hell, even like a Thursday, playing like Trauma Center.
Any day. There was a point where it was every day.
We would sit in the room, and it would be me and like one other person kind of rotating in and out, playing like co-op Trauma Center, which is like the surgery Wii game where you kind of point and do it. We would burn through I remember burning through the entire game in like a day and a half, and it was a big deal. Like there was a crowd of people.
Yes,
it was a super busy hospital kind of feel. It was very, very intense.
And mind you guys, this was in like their front room. So you walk into this building and there's just a couch and there's just a bunch of people there at the big TV. And at a frat, it's like, no, we're not watching sports. We're not doing anything like that. We're playing Trauma Center.
Super busy hospital too. So it was we just cracked out. I didn't know there was a new Trauma Center game, so we've been kind of playing through that.
Do you have a capture card?
I'm getting one.
Can you please do a video?
We are in the process of getting a capture device, and we are about to start recording some Let's Plays. And I think the Wii is kind of our target because it's the kind of market, it's kind of games that we both like. So look out for me doing some Let's Plays and probably some Wii games, especially in the Trauma and series.
Please,
probably. I would like that. So Sarah, what have you been up to? What have you been doing lately?
Well, I think I kind of mentioned this last week. I've actually started releasing Let's Plays. I released my first one tonight. After this recording, I'm going to be doing a second one and a third one this Friday. And I've started with SimCity because it's kind of an easy thing to do. But
SimCity, like the new one,
yeah,
the new PC one,
the new one. And then my idea is to do 3 cities in one, so I kind of jump around and accomplish stuff. We'll see how far that goes. But I also did A Wolf Among Us. I started that game, and I'm recording my reactions to that game. And what's really cool is I found a subreddit. Shout out to all the guys on that subreddit. It's basically Let's Play critiques. And I post my video, and people give feedback. And I have gotten, like, the nicest supportive feedback I've ever had from someone. Like, really supportive, also giving me a lot of really good feedback in terms of tagging and how I set up my, like, video, how I do everything. And it's just... like, that community is really nice. And so I'm excited to keep moving on, to start producing stuff, to start getting, like, a backlog or a log going on, like, getting ahead of myself and really working on that. I'm going to do 3 episodes a week to start, along with a bi-weekly vlog channel update. But I'm planning on doing SimCity, A Wolf Among Us. I want to do the Game of Thrones Telltale games. And I also, and this might actually happen on our GlitchFeed side of YouTube, I also want to take indie games and kind of do like a this is indie game type of preview to kind of introduce people to what indie games not a lot of people are getting attention for. So haven't really been playing much outside of that. What's up?
Hey, Sarah.
Yeah?
You're pretty great.
Oh, you're pretty great too. Are you giving me some good feedback?
I support everything you do, and everything you do is pretty great. There's your feedback.
Thank you. Hey, Troy.
Yeah?
I wouldn't have been able to do this without you, so...
I'm cutting your whole part out, so
go fuck yourself.
It's gonna make me see that. See, there you go.
Okay, well, no, I was just saying. You know, you kind of make this what it is. So.
Oh, look at you.
Only time I'm saying this.
I know. I'm gonna leave it in just for that.
Do it so everyone now knows. Troy is the one that basically makes this podcast.
Nah.
Until he forgets that we're doing a podcast.
It's not that I forget to do the podcast. It's that I often forget that I'm doing the daily glitch video for the day and have to do it at like 8 o'clock. So, that being said, thank you all for joining us this week. We will be back next week, hopefully with the full cast. I'm assuming Justin won't still be celebrating his birthday next week.
Birthday month.
Or whatever. Birthday month, girl. So, join us next week. You can always follow us on Twitter at GlitchFeed. Check us out on the YouTube's channel. GlitchFeed, we do post the daily glitch video every day, your daily source for everything gaming.
Hey, you two people listening to this podcast, you're awesome.
Oh, And if you're not listening to this on YouTube, you can listen to it on YouTube.
Yes.
We post it now to our channel, so you can definitely check that out if you're not already doing that right now. If I'm talking to you on YouTube, thanks.
And
if I'm talking to you on subscription, also thanks.
Thank you.
It's still fine. It's still great.
We'll probably do
Just
link
so you know.
dumps on YouTube. So everything we
We'll
talk
get to
about, we will, once we actually are organized,
Ugh.
we'll link it there. There's a lot of stuff. We keep expanding. It's your support, your feedback. So feel free to give us some feedback. Like,
You
comment,
guys keep us
subscribe.
going. You guys keep us moving.
I love you all.
It's great. I love you all. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks,
See you next week.
guys.